I don't know what you viewers think, but for me, the biggest reason for buying KO models, besides embarking on this irreversible path of YouTube, is to replace those discontinued Bandai models that have skyrocketed in price. Hello everyone, welcome to the Model Express channel. Today, I'm bringing you a model kit from a new manufacturer called Ming model, specifically the KO version of the MG NT-1 Gundam 2.0. Whether it's truly a new manufacturer or not is something everyone knows for sure. The KO version of the Corsair, Waltz, and RC are all from this company. Only this manufacturer prints their letters and serial number on the box, as you can see at the beginning of the video. I really appreciate this. The manufacturer protects the painted parts separately. This is something some no-name KO manufacturers can't compare to. However, when I received it, for some unknown reason, the paint didn't seem to be completely dry. The surface was a bit sticky, and I got silver powder all over my hands. In today's highly mature KO model kit market, experienced players have several consistent requirements. Parts should not be oily or blurry, and sharpness and detail should be consistently high. An additional matte finish would be even better. This KO kit, while having very good sharpness and precision in its parts, suffers from oiliness. This leads to widespread reflections, which make the parts appear blurry and ruin the entire kit. Next, let's look at the most anticipated and industrial-looking parts, the outer armor frame. Why do I highly recommend KO's matte finish on the parts? Let me use my NT-1 as an example. The mold precision and assembly of this product are flawless, the materials used are decent, the details on the part surfaces and the mechanical mechanisms are very clear, and the metal casting feel of the frame parts is very obvious. However, the ubiquitous sink marks and watermarks are a real shame. Considering these two issues, if it weren't for the high mold precision, I estimate this product would be another piece of junk that I would vehemently criticize in my review. So, you should now know how to prevent large area watermark problems. Simply apply a layer of matte paint to perfectly solve the problem. I also want to tell those off-brand manufacturers that if their technology can't compare to Shensho or Chonglong, at least improve the texture of your models. The NT-1 2.0 version has a complete skeleton, but in terms of actual appearance, the skeleton of this model is more functional than practical for display. Everyone understands that since Bandai entered the 2.0 era, many MG-level skeleton designs have been significantly downgraded, indeed affecting the presentation of the internal structural details of previous MG skeletons. Many observant viewers might be wondering why the chin isn't attached. Here I need to explain that when the red chin part arrived, it had a glue melt problem. I contacted the seller for replacement parts and waited several days. Otherwise, this video wouldn't have taken so long to release. As mentioned earlier, the NT-1's frame is purely functional. What does functional mean? It means the mechanical structure details are extremely poorly rendered, causing its support function to far outweigh the significance of its internal structure. In short, this type of frame only serves a supporting role, completely lacking in detail. There are a few minor disappointments, though. The MG specification model surprisingly lacks pull-down joints, which is, of course, a design flaw by Bandai. Despite the lack of visual appeal in this model, the complex mechanical structure of the forearm is still quite pleasing to the eye. The model's head still uses a left-right merging method, resulting in a very noticeable large gap in the middle after the two parts are combined, and it also seems to be folding outwards to the left and right. At this point, someone will tell me, why don't you just use an antenna to fix it in place? I would definitely do that, but I just don't know when the antenna will be torn apart by the two white outer armor pieces. As a KO model, this is bound to happen sooner or later. The assembly process was incredibly pleasant, like the refreshing feeling of suddenly receiving a bottle of ice water when the outdoor temperature is over 40 degrees Celsius, after walking for almost an hour and being drenched in sweat. There's also an ice cream shop nearby with countless iced colas and ice creams waiting for you. It was a truly enjoyable experience. However, the product's shiny, water-splattered exterior ruined all that. It's like you're drinking an iced cola and eating dessert, and then a waiter comes up to you and tells you the bill is 1 million, or you'll have to wash the dishes. It's disgusting. The NT-1 has decent forward and backward waist movement, but there's virtually no movement on the left and right sides. As you can see from the instruction manual, the product doesn't have any side-swinging mechanism designed for the waist. Bandai's arm dust covers are jokingly referred to as garbage bags by many hobbyists, but today I finally found a model that truly deserves that title. This product's garbage bag is even more of a garbage bag than Bandai's. Thanks to Bandai's locking mechanism, this model's arm is incredibly sturdy. No matter how much you shake it, it basically won't come loose, which is truly fantastic. The elbow flexion range is excellent, but it doesn't quite achieve a true upper arm to forearm fit. However, the movable joint at the wrist perfectly compensates for this shortcoming. The forearm includes a separate horizontal rotation joint, also using a locking mechanism, making disassembly very convenient. The wrist joint mentioned earlier is actually a 3-segment joint, enabling these rather unusual movements. After the blue armor on the outside of the forearm is flipped open, a 3-barreled Gatling gun is revealed inside. However, it should be noted that I suspect there is a problem with the manufacturer's quality control, as the left and right arms of the model I received had different extension angles and required different pulling force. I wonder if other buyers of this product have also encountered this issue? The owner of this manufacturer is clearly an Ultraman fan, adding a boomerang-like launcher to the NT-1 head. The neck's articulation is excellent, and I'm not exaggerating, it's far more flexible than someone in a vegetative state. Moreover, someone in a vegetative state is more aware of their limitations. Instead of wasting their life and resources lying down, they might as well just commit suicide by decapitation. Frankly, the collar is too high and too narrow. It effectively jams the neck parts, severely restricting the neck joint's movement. The shoulder's pull joint doesn't actually have a very large range of motion, and it also has an intermittent rebound effect. The increase in range of motion is also very limited, mainly designed to accommodate the later installation of the Chobham armor. The most infuriating aspect of this model is that the white parts below the waist cause the 2 side skirts to detach completely when the model is twisted from side to side. This issue stems from design flaws in both parts. Firstly, the side skirt armor uses a very short C-clasp design. If the white parts are installed, there isn't enough room for twisting, affecting both the front and side skirt armor and causing them to break off. While the front skirt armor does make a click when installed and seems quite sturdy, it still manages to detach. Without that white part, the rotation of my waist and the range of my bend are not affected at all. However, without it, there's a large visible gap at my waist. It makes me feel like nothing I do is right, which is very embarrassing. Unlike previous ball joint connections, the front skirt armor is directly connected via yellow parts. The rear skirt armor is a single, 2-piece design, offering excellent articulation. Raising the front skirt armor allows for a front kick to approximately 90 degrees, and a side kick can also reach about 90 degrees without interference from the side skirt armor, as long as the side skirt armor is not a concern. Raising the rear skirt armor prevents a back kick from reaching 90 degrees, mainly due to interference from the connecting parts between the thigh and waist. The knee flexion range looks good and is sufficient for posing. The thigh can be close to the calf. The main drawback is that, as an MG level model, the only movable part is the small section of armor behind the calf, which feels like a shame. The yellow thruster nozzles below the calf also have vertical articulation. The ankle joints are double jointed, with a range of motion of about 45 degrees, and the ground contact is quite good. The foot has a protruding forward folding structure, and the toes can be lifted upwards. The only issue with the model's articulation is the waist, caused by a white part. Removing it resolves the problem. I believe most people buy this model for the Chobham armor and its internal metal frame structure. The frame sections shown in the video appear to have no issues so far. I'll now show you the problems one by one. First, the discounted frame feels very tight during assembly. After installation, zooming in reveals white marks on the parts. The thickness of the support posts is also problematic. Next, the armor on the inner side of the forearm makes a clicking sound after installation, but it actually falls off with the slightest touch. There are locking mechanisms, but they don't hold the parts in place. Finally, after assembling the lower leg frames, a noticeable height difference is visible from the side. This isn't unique to me, as I found the same issue with both legs after assembly. The height difference is very pronounced. The finished product with all the metal frames is quite pleasing to the eye. I believe that everyone here, especially the men, will find it hard to resist this mechanical and sexy beauty. Even if you haven't seen the 0080 Pocket Wars series, I'm sure you'll all fall in love with this model. Finally, we'll show you the fully equipped Chobham armor in its final pose. Overall, it looks quite sturdy and bulky. The face looks somewhat like Gundam Zagan, and the craftsmanship is quite solid. We didn't find any major flaws. However, as we mentioned at the beginning of the video, the parts have some small pits and inclusions of watermarks and sink marks, making a closer look less than ideal. Even after fully armoring the arm, the frame's problems persist. For example, the frame on the inside of the forearm is very prone to detaching, even after the outer armor is installed. Moreover, I could clearly feel that it was even more likely to detach when the arm was exposed, mainly due to the increased weight. Furthermore, the different conditions of the upper and lower body also had a certain impact on the waist of the model. Even without much shaking, the waist joint had already broken. After installing the full armor plating, if you need to open the cockpit, you can't just flip open the blue cockpit hatch as usual. You need to flip up the red cover. But in my experience, this part is very difficult to flip up. It's just too tight. The full armor has several small, unfoldable sections that reveal the details of the yellow thrusters inside. I recommend cutting out the yellow thruster parts first during assembly, then attaching them directly to the remaining white thruster parts, and finally cutting the white parts off together. This reduces the risk of losing parts and makes assembly easier. The small flip-up cover on the backpack is rather easy to detach. The C-shaped clasp isn't very well made. The unfolded shoulder armor on the sides reveals a rather attractive internal structure. Actually, I'm not entirely satisfied with this display. I prefer half of it to be equipped with the Chabam armor, and the other half to showcase the frame structure. The texture of the metal frame, combined with the heavy feel of the outer armor, is simply wonderful. As for weapon accessories, there's a shield, a rifle, a rocket launcher, 2 beam saber effect parts, and 2 sword hilts on the backpack. The blue cover of the shield has a movable structure that can flip upwards, and the gray parts below can be flipped outwards in 2 stages. When closing it, be careful to press the blue cover down firmly until you hear a click. Only then is it truly closed. The rifle is actually just 2 very simple parts joined together, with additional nested parts for the head and tail. If it weren't for the front-mounted magazine, the overall design would look like the FAMA's assault rifle. There are no detailed depictions of bullets inside the magazine after it's been removed, but it feels quite solid when installed back into the rifle. The rocket launcher and rifle have different metal structure colors. The rifle is grayish, while the rocket launcher is bluish-green. The small side latches can be flipped open to engage with the recessed area at the rear of the main body, but this is useless in full armor mode. Also, the connection between the front and rear barrels is rather loose. Perhaps it could be glued in place, since there's no tensioning mechanism. The parts are quite loose, so please don't lose any parts from the main body. The model's quality is roughly as shown in the video, and it only costs $16. I feel that they should sometimes learn from Chonglong in terms of pricing. Although players have very high standards for Chonglong's product quality, I think their pricing is relatively reasonable in the KO community. However, since this is a discontinued Bandai product with limited stock, the price has been inflated to exorbitant levels. If I were to define this product, it has 80% of the quality of Bandai products, and its price advantage is even more obvious, making it a perfectly viable alternative to Bandai. Okay, that's all for today's video. Please subscribe to my channel, like and share. See you in the next video.